Zira was not like anyone on Earth. She came from a distant planet called Silara, where the skies were purple and the grass glowed in the dark. Zira was a curious alien girl, always eager to learn about other worlds. For years, she had watched Earth through her planet's powerful telescopes, fascinated by the blue oceans and green forests. She loved the way humans smiled and how they danced under the sun. Zira dreamed of visiting Earth one day, and now that day had finally come. Zira stood on the spaceship, looking out at the beautiful blue planet. Her heart raced with excitement. She wore a special suit that helped her blend in with humans, but she felt nervous. What if they didn't like her? What if she made a mistake? Zira took a deep breath, reminding herself that this trip was a chance to learn and make friends. As the spaceship landed, Zira could see a busy city filled with tall buildings and bright lights. People rushed around, chatting and laughing. The noise was loud and chaotic, but to Zira, it was beautiful. She stepped off the ship, and the warm air of Earth wrapped around her like a soft blanket. Zira was part of a special program that allowed aliens to learn about human culture. She would spend a few weeks in a small town called Maplewood, where she would live with a human family. Zira was excited, but also a little scared. Would they accept her? Would they understand her? The program's coordinator, a kind woman named Mrs. Thompson, greeted Zira at the landing site. She had bright eyes and a warm smile. "Welcome to Earth, Zira," she said. "I'm so happy to have you here. Let me introduce you to your host family." Zira followed Mrs. Thompson to a car. As they drove through the town, Zira's eyes widened in wonder. She saw children playing in parks, families walking dogs, and friends sitting in cafes. Everything was new and exciting. Finally, they arrived at a cozy house with a white picket fence. The family, the Johnsons, stood outside waiting for her. There was a mom, a dad, and a boy named Alex. Zira felt a flutter in her stomach as she saw him. He was tall for his age, with messy brown hair and bright blue eyes that sparkled with curiosity. "Hi, Zira. I'm Alex," he said with a big smile. Zira felt her cheeks heat up. Alex's smile made her feel happy and nervous all at once. "Hello, Alex," Zira replied, her voice soft. She hoped she sounded friendly. The Johnsons welcomed her with open arms, and Zira felt a little more at ease. They showed her around the house, explaining their traditions and customs. Zira listened carefully, trying to absorb everything they said. That evening, the Johnsons prepared a special dinner. Zira was curious about human food. They served spaghetti with meatballs and a fresh salad. Zira took a bite, and her eyes widened in surprise. It was delicious. She had never tasted anything like it on Silara. The flavors danced in her mouth, and she smiled widely. "Do you like it?" Mrs. Johnson asked, her eyes sparkling. "Yes, it's very tasty," Zira replied, her voice filled with excitement. The family laughed, and Zira felt warm inside. They talked about their lives, sharing stories and jokes. Zira felt happy to be part of this family, even if it was just for a short time. After dinner, Alex suggested they go for a walk in the nearby park. Zira eagerly agreed, feeling a mix of excitement and nerves. As they walked, the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Zira was in awe of the beauty of Earth's sunsets. "Do you like living on Silara?" Alex asked, glancing at her. "Yes, but it's very different from here," Zira replied. "We have floating cities and glowing plants, but we do not have this." She waved her arms at the park filled with trees and flowers. Alex smiled, and Zira felt her heart skip a beat. They continued to walk, talking about their favorite things. Zira shared stories about her home, describing the stars that shone brightly in the night sky. Alex listened, fascinated by her tales. As they reached the park center, Zira saw children playing on swings and families enjoying picnics. She felt a strange feeling in her chest. She wanted to be part of this world, to laugh and play with the humans around her. But deep inside, she knew it would not be easy. The rules of her people were strict, and she felt the weight of her culture on her shoulders. Suddenly, Alex stopped and turned to Zira. "I'm really glad you're here. I think we're going to be great friends," he said with a smile. Zira's heart soared. "Me too, Alex. I hope we can learn a lot from each other." She couldn't help but smile back, feeling a warm glow of happiness. As they made their way back home, Zira realized she was beginning to feel at home on Earth. She had met a wonderful family and made a new friend. But deep down, she couldn't shake the feeling that her journey had just begun. Growing closer. As the days passed, Zira settled into her new life in Maplewood. Each morning, she woke up to the sound of birds singing outside her window. The sunlight streamed through the curtains, making the room feel warm and welcoming. Zira loved her new home, and she felt excited about each day. One bright morning, Alex burst into Zira's room, his face lit up with excitement. "Hey Zira, want to come to the park with me? We can play frisbee," he asked, holding a colorful frisbee in his hand. Zira's eyes sparkled. "Yes, I would love to." She quickly got dressed, feeling a rush of joy. Being with Alex always made her heart race in a good way. At the park, children were playing everywhere. Some were flying kites, while others were riding bikes. The smell of fresh grass filled the air, and the sun shone brightly overhead. Zira and Alex found a grassy spot and started throwing the frisbee back and forth. Zira had never played frisbee before, but she quickly caught on. "Watch this," Alex said, as he threw the frisbee high into the air. Zira jumped and caught it with ease, laughing with delight. "You're a natural," he praised, and Zira beamed with pride. As they played, Zira felt a warm connection growing between them. They talked and joked, sharing stories about their lives. Alex told her about his favorite video games, and Zira shared tales from Xilara. She described the floating gardens and the colorful festivals that lit up the night sky. Alex listened intently, his blue eyes wide with amazement. "Your planet sounds incredible," he said. "I wish I could see it." Zira smiled, feeling a mix of happiness and sadness. "Maybe one day I can take you there," she replied, her voice soft. But deep down, she knew that her world was very different from his, and she worried about the rules that kept them apart. After a fun day at the park, Zira and Alex headed home, both laughing and feeling closer than ever. That night, as Zira lay in bed, she couldn't help but think about Alex. She felt her heart flutter whenever she thought of his smile. Zira knew she was starting to fall for him, but she also felt a knot of fear in her stomach. Would she ever be able to truly be with him? The next day, Mrs. Johnson invited Zira to help her bake cookies. Zira was excited to learn about this human tradition. In the kitchen, the sweet smell of chocolate chip cookies filled the air as they mixed the dough together. Zira carefully followed Mrs. Johnson's instructions, enjoying every moment. "This is so much fun," Zira exclaimed, smiling as she shaped the dough into little balls. "Baking is one of my favorite things to do," Mrs. Johnson replied. "It's a great way to bring people together." Zira nodded, feeling the warmth of the family bond around her. Later that afternoon, Alex came home from school. The moment he stepped into the kitchen, his eyes lit up with delight. "Are those cookies?" he asked, his mouth watering. "Yes, Zira helped me bake them," Mrs. Johnson said proudly. "Awesome. Can we eat them now?" Alex grinned, and Zira laughed at his excitement. After they baked the cookies, they sat around the kitchen table, enjoying the warm treats. Zira loved how sweet and chewy the cookies were. As they talked and laughed, she felt a sense of belonging she had never felt before. Days turned into weeks, and Zira and Alex continued to grow closer. They explored the town together, visiting shops and parks, sharing ice cream cones on hot days. Zira loved the simple moments they shared. Sometimes, They would sit under the big oak tree, talking about their dreams and hopes. One afternoon, while they were sitting together, Alex turned to Zira, a serious look on his face. "What do you want to do when you go back to your planet?" he asked. Zira hesitated. She wanted to tell him everything, but fear held her back. "I want to tell my people about Earth and the wonderful friends I made here," she replied carefully. "But I also want to stay here." Alex looked surprised but smiled softly. "I want you to stay too. You're really special to me, Zira." His words made Zira's heart skip a beat. She wanted to say the same, but the weight of her culture pressed down on her. "Alex, Zira started but stopped herself. She felt scared to express her feelings. She knew her culture had strict rules about love and relationships. Would Alex understand if she told him? Suddenly, a loud noise interrupted their moment. A group of kids nearby were laughing and playing tag. Zira turned to watch them, feeling a mix of emotions. She loved the joy of being with Alex, but was also afraid of what the future held. Later that evening, Zira sat on her bed, staring out the window at the stars. They reminded her of home, sparkling brightly in the night sky. She thought about Alex and how much he meant to her. She wanted to be with him, but could she? With a heavy heart, Zira realized she needed to figure out how to bridge the gap between their worlds. She wanted to tell Alex everything, but fear held her back. For now, she decided to enjoy every moment they shared and see where their friendship would lead. As she drifted off to sleep, Zira dreamed of Earth and the special bond she was forming with Alex. She knew their journey was just beginning, and she hoped it would be a beautiful adventure together. Understanding cultures. As the weeks went by, Zira felt more at home in Maplewood. She enjoyed spending time with the Johnson family and growing closer to Alex. However, a quiet worry lingered in the back of her mind. She knew she had to tell Alex about her culture and the rules that governed her people. One sunny afternoon, Zira and Alex sat under the big oak tree in the park. The leaves rustled gently in the breeze, and the sun cast playful shadows on the ground. They were enjoying ice cream cones, laughing and talking about their favorite movies. Zira felt happy, but a part of her was restless. "Zira, what's your favorite thing about Earth?" Alex asked, licking his ice cream. Zira thought for a moment. "I love how free everyone is here. People can express themselves without fear." "It's very different from Silara," she replied, her voice thoughtful. Alex nodded, curious. "What's different about Silara?" Zira hesitated. This was the moment she had been dreading. She took a deep breath and decided to share her heart. "On my planet, we have many rules about relationships and mating. It's not as simple as it is here," she explained, looking into Alex's eyes. "What do you mean?" Alex asked, his brow furrowing in confusion. Zira knew this was not going to be easy. "In my culture, we have special rituals for mating. It's about duty and responsibility, not just love. If I want to mate, I must follow the customs of my people," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Alex's eyes widened as he tried to understand. "So, you're saying you can't just love someone like we do here?" he asked. Zira nodded, feeling a weight in her chest. "Yes, it's complicated. I want to be with you, but my culture may not allow it. If I choose you, I have to give up everything I know." Alex frowned, and Zira could see the gears turning in his mind. "But that's not fair. Love should be free. Why do they make it so hard?" he asked, frustration creeping into his voice. Zira felt her heart ache. "I don't know. It's just how things are. Our traditions are very important, and we believe they keep our society strong. But I wish things could be different," she said, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. Alex reached out and took her hand. "Zira, I care about you a lot. I don't want you to feel trapped. Maybe we can find a way to work this out together," he suggested, his voice soft and comforting. Zira looked at their hands, feeling warmth spread through her. She wanted to believe him, but doubt lingered. I want to find a way too, but I don't know if my people would accept you, she said, feeling torn. Let's learn more about each other's cultures, Alex proposed, a spark of determination in his eyes. Maybe we can understand the differences and find common ground. Zira smiled, grateful for Alex's support. That's a great idea. I would love to share more about Silara with you, she replied, feeling a sense of hope. From that day on, they made it their mission to learn about each other's worlds. Zira taught Alex about Silara's customs, showing him pictures of her planet's beautiful landscapes and glowing plants. She explained the importance of family and tradition in her culture. In return, Alex introduced Zira to Earth's traditions. They celebrated holidays together, including a fun Halloween where Zira dressed up in a costume made of bright colors and sparkles. She had never seen anything like it before and loved the joy it brought to everyone. As they explored each other's cultures, Zira and Alex grew closer. They found joy in the differences that once felt like barriers. Zira admired how humans expressed their feelings freely, while Alex appreciated the deep respect Zira had for her traditions. One evening, they sat together on a blanket in the park, watching the stars twinkle above them. "Look at those stars," Alex said, pointing up. "They're beautiful." Zira smiled, feeling a sense of peace wash over her. "Yes, they remind me of home. In Silara, the stars shine even brighter," she said, her voice filled with nostalgia. "Do you miss it?" Alex asked gently. Zira thought for a moment. "Sometimes, but being here with you makes it easier. I feel alive and happy," she confessed, her heart racing as she spoke. Alex looked at her with understanding. "You're a part of my world now too, Zira. No matter where you are, you can always find happiness. We just have to be brave," he said. Zira felt a surge of emotion. Alex's words filled her with hope. Maybe they could create a new way to connect their worlds. She reached for his hand, squeezing it tightly. "Thank you for being so understanding, Alex. I really appreciate it," she said, her voice warm. As they sat under the stars, Zira realized that love could indeed bridge the gap between their cultures. They may face challenges, but together they could create their own path. With each passing day, Zira felt more certain that their connection was worth fighting for. As the night deepened, they talked and laughed, dreaming about their future. Zira knew that whatever lay ahead, she would face it with Alex by her side. The stars shone brightly above them, a symbol of hope and endless possibilities. Sharing her heart. Zira's heart raced as she sat on the edge of her bed, staring out the window. The stars twinkled in the night sky, reminding her of home. She felt a mix of excitement and fear. It was time to tell Alex how she truly felt. She had been growing closer to him every day, but the weight of her culture held her back. Could she really share her heart with him? The next day was Saturday, and Zira decided it was the perfect time. She had been thinking about their last conversation, and she wanted to be honest with Alex. He had shown her kindness and understanding, and she felt ready to take this step. In the afternoon, Zira asked Alex to meet her at the park. As she walked there, she felt butterflies in her stomach. She practiced what she would say in her mind, but the words felt heavy. Would he understand? Would he still want to be friends after hearing her truth? When Zira arrived at the park, she spotted Alex sitting under their favorite oak tree. He looked up and smiled, waving at her. Her heart fluttered at the sight of him. He was wearing a simple t-shirt and jeans, but to Zira, he looked perfect. "Hey Zira, you made it," Alex exclaimed, his eyes shining with excitement. "I've been waiting for you. What's up?" "Hi, Alex," Zira replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "I wanted to talk to you about something important." Alex's expression changed slightly, and he nodded. "Of course. What's on your mind?" He patted the spot next to him, inviting her to sit. Zira took a deep breath and sat down. The leaves rustled above them, creating a soft background noise. She glanced at Alex, feeling nervous but determined. I've been thinking about us, and I need to be honest with you about my feelings. Alex leaned in closer, his attention fully on her. I'm listening, Zira. You can tell me anything. Zira's heart raced as she gathered her thoughts. I really like you, Alex. I have strong feelings for you, she said, her voice trembling slightly. But I also feel scared. Alex's eyes widened in surprise, and Zira felt a wave of fear wash over her. I like you too, Zira. I felt this connection between us, he said quickly, his tone warm and reassuring. Relief flooded through Zira, but she knew there was more to say. But there's something you need to know about my culture, she continued. It's complicated. In Xilara, we have strict rules about love and mating. I cannot just choose to be with someone like you without facing serious consequences. Alex's expression shifted to one of concern. What kind of consequences? He asked gently. Zira looked down at her hands, feeling the weight of her words. If I choose you, I would have to give up my family and my home. My people believe that love is a duty, not just a feeling. It's hard for me to imagine leaving everything behind, she explained, her voice cracking slightly. Alex frowned, processing her words. But Zira, don't you deserve to be happy? You shouldn't have to give up who you are for love, he said passionately. I know, but it's not that simple for me, Zira replied, tears welling in her eyes. I feel torn between my heart and my culture. I want to be with you, but I also love my home and my family. Alex reached out and took her hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. You're not alone in this, Zira. We can find a way together, he said softly. I care about you too much to let you go without a fight. Zira looked into his eyes, feeling a mix of hope and fear. You really mean that? She asked, her voice trembling. Absolutely. We can talk to your family, learn more about your customs, and see if there's a way to make it work, Alex said with determination. I want to understand your world and find a way for us to be together. Zira's heart swelled with gratitude. She had never felt so supported before. Thank you, Alex. That means so much to me, she said, her voice soft. They sat in silence for a moment, both lost in thought. Zira felt lighter, as if a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. She realized that sharing her heart had brought them closer together. Can I ask you something? Alex said, breaking the silence. Of course, Zira replied. What do you love most about your culture? He asked, his curiosity evident. Zira smiled, feeling a spark of joy. I love the celebrations. We have festivals with music, dancing, and colorful lights. It brings everyone together. And it's a time of joy and unity, she explained, her eyes shining. Sounds amazing. I would love to experience that one day, Alex said, his enthusiasm infectious. Maybe you can come to Xilara for a festival, Zira suggested, feeling excited. You would love the music and the food. It's very different but beautiful. Alex grinned. I would love that. And I'll make sure to bring some earth snacks too, he joked, making Zira laugh. As they talked and dreamed about their future, Zira felt a renewed sense of hope. She realized that love could be complicated, but it was also powerful. With Alex by her side, she felt ready to face any challenge. The sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the park. Zira knew their journey was just beginning, but together they could find a way to bridge the gap between their worlds. With her heart full of hope, Zira leaned in closer to Alex, feeling more connected than ever. She was ready to share her heart completely, no matter what lay ahead. A hard decision. As the days turned into weeks, Zira felt both happy and anxious. She and Alex had grown even closer, sharing their hopes and dreams. But in her heart, a heavy decision loomed. She knew she had to choose between her home and her feelings for Alex. The thought kept her awake at night, and she often found herself staring at the stars, wondering what to do. One afternoon, while walking through the park, Zira noticed a group of children playing with a bright kite. Their laughter filled the air, and Zira smiled at their joy. Alex walked beside her, noticing the way her smile faded when she looked away. "What's on your mind, Zira?" he asked gently. Zira sighed, feeling the weight of her thoughts. "I don't know if I can keep living like this. I love spending time with you, but I feel like I'm lying to myself," she admitted, her voice trembling. "Lying? About what?" Alex asked, concern filling his eyes. "I haven't been completely honest with you about my feelings," Zira said, looking down at her feet. "I care about you so much, but I also feel trapped. I have to make a decision soon, and it's tearing me apart." Alex's expression turned serious. "What kind of decision?" he asked, his voice low. Zira took a deep breath, gathering her courage. "I have to decide whether to stay here with you or return to Xilara and follow my culture's rules," she explained, her voice shaky. "If I choose you, I will lose my home, my family, and everything I know." Alex looked at her with sadness in his eyes. "That's a huge decision, Zira. I can't ask you to give up your home for me," he said softly. Zira felt a knot tighten in her stomach. "But I don't want to lose you either. You make me happy, Alex. I've never felt this way before," she confessed, tears beginning to form in her eyes. "Maybe there's a way to make it work," Alex suggested, trying to remain hopeful. "We can talk to your family and explain our feelings. They might understand." Zira shook her head slowly. "I don't think it will be that simple. My people are very traditional. They might never accept you, especially since you're from another world," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't care what they think," Alex said passionately. "What matters is how you feel. If you want to be with me, we'll find a way." Zira felt a flicker of hope at his words, but the weight of her culture pressed down on her. "What if my choice tears my family apart? I don't want to hurt them," she said, feeling overwhelmed. Alex reached for her hand, giving it a comforting squeeze. "You have to think about your happiness too, Zira. Your heart is important. You deserve to be happy, no matter where you are," he said firmly. Zira looked into his eyes, searching for answers. "What if I can't have both? What if I have to choose?" she asked, her voice shaking. "We can figure it out together." "I believe in us," Alex replied, his voice steady. "But the choice has to be yours. Take your time. I'm here for you." That night, Zira lay in bed, her mind racing with thoughts. She felt torn between two worlds. The next day was a big celebration in Xilara, and she had been invited to join her family. It would be a perfect time to talk to them about her feelings and the future. The celebration day arrived, and Zira dressed in her beautiful traditional outfit. The colorful fabric flowed around her as she prepared to leave. She felt a mixture of excitement and dread. As she stepped outside, she took a moment to breathe in the fresh air, trying to calm her nerves. At the celebration, laughter and music filled the air. Families gathered to celebrate their culture, sharing stories, food, and traditions. Zira felt a sense of warmth and belonging among her people. But in her heart, she felt a tug of sadness as she thought about Alex. As the festivities began, Zira's family surrounded her, showering her with love. Her mother pulled her close, whispering, "I'm so proud of you, Zira. You are a shining star in our family." Zira smiled, but her heart felt heavy. She loved her family deeply, but she knew she needed to share her truth. Gathering her courage, she found her parents and asked to speak with them privately. "Is everything okay, Zira?" her mother asked, concern flickering in her eyes. "I have something important to tell you," Zira began, her voice trembling. "I've met someone from Earth. His name is Alex, and I care for him very much." Her parents exchanged glances, their expressions serious. "Zira, you know the rules about relationships," her father said gently. "You have a duty to our family and our traditions." "I understand," Zira replied, tears welling in her eyes. "But I also want to be happy. I feel a connection with Alex that I've never felt before. He makes me feel alive." Her mother placed a comforting hand on Zira's shoulder. We want you to be happy too, but it is important to remember our customs. I know, Zira whispered, her heart aching. I just don't know what to do. In that moment, Zira realized that she needed to make a choice, one that would change her life forever. As she looked into her parents' eyes, she knew she had to follow her heart, no matter the outcome. Heartbreak. The days following Zira's conversation with her parents felt heavy. She had opened her heart, but instead of the support she hoped for, she found resistance. Her parents reminded her of the importance of their traditions and the consequences of choosing a human. Zira felt trapped between her love for Alex and her loyalty to her family. As she walked through the park one evening, Zira's heart ached with confusion. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. She sat down on their favorite bench, hoping to find clarity in the quiet of the evening. But as she stared at the ground, all she could think about was Alex. Moments later, she heard footsteps approaching. She looked up to see Alex walking toward her, a bright smile on his face. But Zira's heart sank. She wanted to be happy to see him, but her worries weighed her down. "Hey, Zira, I missed you," Alex said, sitting down beside her. "How was the celebration?" Zira forced a smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. "It was nice, but complicated," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Alex frowned, sensing her unease. "What do you mean? Did something happen?" Zira looked away, struggling to find the right words. "I talked to my parents about you, and about us," she finally said, her heart pounding. Alex's expression shifted to concern. "And what did they say?" "They don't understand. They believe I should follow our traditions, and they don't think I should be with you," Zira explained, tears welling up in her eyes. "They want me to focus on my duties, not my feelings." Alex's shoulders slumped, and he looked down at his hands. "I'm sorry, Zira. I know this is hard for you," he said quietly. Zira felt a wave of sadness wash over her. "I want to be with you, Alex, but I also love my family. I feel like I'm being pulled in two different directions," she confessed, her voice trembling. "I can't ask you to choose between your family and me." "That's not fair," Alex replied, his tone heavy with disappointment. Zira wiped a tear from her cheek. "I don't want to lose you, but I don't want to hurt my family either. It feels impossible," she said, her heart breaking. They sat in silence, the weight of the moment hanging between them. Zira could feel the distance growing, and it scared her. "Maybe we need some time apart," she suggested, her voice soft. "What do you mean?" Alex asked, confusion flashing in his eyes. "I mean, maybe we should take a break. I need to think about what I really want. I don't want to drag you into my mess," Zira said, her heart aching with each word. Alex looked hurt, and Zira felt like she was shattering inside. "Zira, please don't say that. We can figure this out together," he pleaded, desperation in his voice. "I don't know if we can," Zira admitted, her voice breaking. "I care about you so much, but I can't ignore my family. It's tearing me apart." Alex looked away, his expression filled with pain. "I never wanted to make you choose. I just wanted to be with you," he said quietly. Zira felt her heart sink. "I want that too, but right now I need to figure out my life. I can't keep pretending everything is fine when it's not," she said, her voice shaking. Tears streamed down her face as she looked at Alex, seeing the hurt in his eyes. She felt as if she was losing a part of herself, but she also knew she had to be honest. "I love you, Alex, but love isn't always enough," she whispered. Alex looked at her, his eyes filled with sadness. "I don't want to lose you, Zira. You mean everything to me," he said, his voice choked with emotion. "I don't want to lose you either," she replied, her heart breaking. "But I have to think about what's best for both of us. I need time to figure things out." The silence stretched between them, filled with unspoken words and shared pain. Finally, Alex nodded slowly, his expression filled with resignation. If that's what you need, I'll respect your decision. But I'll always be here for you, Zira, he said softly. Zira felt a deep ache in her chest. She had hoped for a different outcome, but now she knew they had reached a crossroads. Thank you, Alex. I hope one day you can understand, she said, her voice trembling. As they sat together, Zira felt as if the world was closing in around her. The park, once filled with laughter and joy, felt empty and cold. She could see the stars beginning to twinkle above, but their light felt dim compared to the darkness in her heart. After a long moment, Zira stood up, wiping her tears. I should go, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I need time to think. Okay, Alex replied, his voice heavy with sadness. He stood up too, taking a step back. Just know that I care about you, no matter what happens. Zira nodded, feeling her heart shatter as she walked away. Each step felt like a weight on her chest, and the distance between them grew larger. She could hear her heart breaking with every beat. As she left the park, Zira knew she had made a hard decision. It felt like losing a part of herself, and the thought of a future without Alex was unbearable. But deep down, she knew she needed to find her path, even if it meant walking away from the love that had brought her so much joy. Finding hope. Days turned into weeks, and Zira felt the weight of her decision pressing down on her. After her painful conversation with Alex, she had tried to focus on her family and their traditions. She attended gatherings and celebrated with her people, but a part of her felt empty. The laughter around her felt distant, like a fading memory of what used to bring her joy. Every night, Zira lay awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking about Alex. Memories of their time together flooded her mind, the way he smiled, how he made her laugh, and the warmth of his hand in hers. She missed him terribly, but she also felt the pull of her family and her culture. She had made a choice, but the cost felt too high. One afternoon, Zira decided to take a walk in the park. The sun was shining brightly, and the flowers were blooming, filling the air with their sweet scent. She hoped the fresh air would clear her mind. As she walked along the path, she noticed the same oak tree where she and Alex had shared so many happy moments. Zira paused, resting her hand on the rough bark. She closed her eyes and recalled the laughter, the joy, and the love she had felt there. But it was also a place of heartbreak. What should I do? She whispered to herself, feeling lost. Just then, Zira heard a familiar voice calling her name. She turned to see Maya, her best friend from Celara, running toward her. Zira, I've been looking for you, Maya said, her face bright with excitement. Zira forced a smile, feeling grateful for her friend. Hey, Maya, what's up? I just got back from visiting my aunt in another city. I missed you. We need to catch up, Maya exclaimed, pulling Zira into a hug. As they walked together, Zira shared what had been on her mind, the pain of choosing between Alex and her family. Maya listened carefully, nodding in understanding. I can't believe how hard this is, Zira said, her voice filled with emotion. I love my family, but I also love Alex. It feels like I'm losing a part of myself. Maya thought for a moment. Zira, have you talked to anyone else about how you feel? Sometimes sharing with others can help, she suggested. I haven't, Zira admitted. I was afraid of what they might say. Everyone seems to believe in our traditions so strongly. Maya smiled gently. You need to talk to your friends and hear their thoughts. They might surprise you. Plus, you deserve to be happy, no matter what others think. Zira felt a spark of hope at Maya's words. You're right. Maybe I need to open up more, she said, feeling a little lighter. The next day, Zira gathered her closest friends from Celara. They met at a small cafe filled with colorful decorations and the scent of delicious food. As they sat around the table, Zira took a deep breath, her heart racing. I need to share something important with you all, Zira began, her voice shaky. It's about my feelings for Alex, the human I met. Her friends exchanged glances, their expressions a mix of curiosity and concern. "We want to hear, Zira," one friend said, leaning in closer. Zira shared her story, the joy and connection she felt with Alex, and the difficult decision she faced. As she spoke, her friends listened intently. When she finished, there was a moment of silence. Finally, Maya spoke up. "Zira, you deserve to be happy. Love is powerful, and it shouldn't be ignored. Maybe your family can learn to accept this too," she said, her voice filled with encouragement. Another friend nodded in agreement. "We should support you in this. You shouldn't feel alone in your choices." Zira felt a wave of relief wash over her. "Thank you all for understanding. I've been so scared to talk about this," she said, wiping away a tear. Her friends shared their own stories about love and culture and how they had navigated similar challenges. With each story, Zira felt more hopeful. Maybe her feelings weren't as wrong as she had thought. After their gathering, Zira felt a renewed sense of strength. She realized she didn't have to face her decision alone. With her friends by her side, she felt ready to confront her family again. That evening, Zira called a family meeting. She wanted to talk to her parents one more time, to share her heart and explain her feelings for Alex. As she sat across from them, her heart raced, but she felt determined. "Mom, Dad, I know you care about me and want what's best for our family," Zira began. "But I need to be honest about my feelings. I love Alex. He makes me feel alive and happy in ways I've never felt before." Her parents listened, their expressions serious but calm. "Zira, we understand that love is important, but we worry about your future. You have responsibilities to our culture," her father said gently. "I do have responsibilities, but I also have my own dreams. I want to find a way to honor both my culture and my heart," Zira replied, her voice steady. Her mother looked thoughtful. "It's not easy, but we want to support you. We just want you to be happy," she said softly. Zira felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. "Thank you, Mom. I promise to find a balance. I don't want to lose my culture, but I also don't want to lose Alex." In that moment, Zira realized that finding hope meant embracing her feelings and trusting herself. She had come a long way since that day in the park, and now she felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As she left the meeting, Zira felt lighter. She knew the road ahead would not be easy, but she felt a sense of hope blooming in her heart. With her friends and family beginning to understand, she knew she could find a way to keep both her love for Alex and her connection to her culture. Zira looked up at the stars that night, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. She had found hope, and with it, the courage to follow her heart.